My name is Kaya Evans. I'm a senior. My major is political economy and my minors are pre-law, Spanish, environmental science, and anthropology and sociology. Sometimes I'm kind of amazed that I ended up here just because even though I'm from Pocatello, which is just the other side of the state, I had never heard anything about College of Idaho till I think probably my junior year. And I just happened to kind of come across College of Idaho when I was playing soccer in a state tournament. And the coach just saw me, essentially, reached out and was like, would you like to come visit? I thought there's no harm in visiting, why not?
During my time at the College of Idaho, I've had the privilege of working closely with several Rhodes Scholarship winners. On Kaya's first day of her first year in my Introduction to Political Philosophy through Plato course, I got the sense that I was again in the presence of just such a person.
Carrie Hunter did tell me at the end of my freshman year that I should apply for the Rhodes someday, and I remember nodding in the interview with him and mentally saying, I'm never going to apply for the Rhodes because I'm never going to get the Rhodes. Like, why would I waste my time on that?
And if you're unfamiliar with the Rhodes Scholarship, except by name, you need to understand that it's really singular. It's unique in the sense as far and away the most prestigious award of its type, postgraduate study award in the world. There's no close second to it.
I had been mentally resigning myself over the last 24 to 48 hours not to get it, because it is a big accomplishment to be a finalist, and I was already trying to make plans of what I would do, and I didn't get the Rhodes Scholarship. And then when they called us all back in together and told us all at once, they were like, you're all going to do amazing things, regardless of whether or not you get the scholarship. I was like, yep, good to remember that. And then they were like, unfortunately, 14 of you will leave here a little disappointed. And I was like, that's okay. I can handle a little disappointment. And then they were like, without further ado, our winners are Kaya Evans and this other girl named Alina. And yeah, it was definitely shock. My hands were shaking. I think I missed the next part of what was said, to be honest, because it was kind of like a rushing in my ears. And then when I got off the call, I did have to wait a minute because I thought I must have misheard.
Kaya is truly one of the most ethical, creative, inclusive, mature, and courageous individuals I have ever had the privilege of working with. She's also really smart.
Kaya Nicole Evans, Bachelor of Arts, summa cum laude. Nice.
I can think of no one I would want to entrust more to take on the Rhodes mission. And I'm so thankful, Kaya, that you chose to come to the College of Idaho and study political philosophy with me. Kaya Evans.
Thank you. Well, that's me. When I was initially deciding what I would speak about tonight, I tried to think less of what this message should be in terms of content. That is, what facts about my life and time at the college would be important enough or interesting enough to include, what accolades I earned that merited a note, and whatever other pieces of personal trivia might give you a factual, if somewhat sterile, understanding of who I am. Instead of detailing a biography, I want to take advantage of this speech as an opportunity. And for me, it really is an opportunity to express my gratitude. And in so doing, to at least partially pay a debt which has been needling at me since my graduation in 2021. I owe much more to the college than the diploma I was handed when I walked across the stage nearly 2 years ago. In a very real sense, I owe it my identity. I owe it who I am now and who I hope to become in the future. For that reason, what I truly hope is that this speech might convey a message that is broader than the sum of its parts. Behind and between every word in this meandering trip through my life, I hope you'll be able to sense clearly my thank you. First and foremost, I should mention my family. In fact, my family is here tonight. Mom, Dad, and Amari, would you please stand up over there? Yep. I want to say that my time at the College of Idaho refined me, but the core of who I am, I really owe to them. I watched my dad earn his doctorate in political science while I was growing up, and from observing him, I learned as a child that understanding oneself in the context of your society is an inherently political pursuit. And from my mom's unending compassion for those around her, me included, I learned that helping my society means diving into it with love. With the combination of those two influences, I knew very early on in my life that I wanted to study and engage with politics. But my certainty about my life's direction coming out of high school ended just about there. Exactly where I would study politics was a much more fraught decision. I did know that I wanted to attend a liberal arts institution, and at that time, Washington and Lee University actually seemed like the ideal choice. For those of you who don't know, it's a well-regarded university in Virginia, and it's reputed to have an excellent political science program. I did actually apply during my senior year of high school and was accepted, but tuition even then was nearing $60,000, and I didn't have nearly enough scholarship opportunities to make that affordable. I remember resigning myself at that point, believing that the doors to a high-quality education were mostly shut to me. And it wasn't until I was recruited for soccer by the College of Idaho, and then was and then was able to access a generous package of athletic and academic scholarships, and then began actually taking classes here, that I realized I was wrong. This college, in so many ways, is very much on par with the best in the country. If you need proof, consider the fact that this year only 2 liberal arts institutions in the United States will be sending a Rhodes Scholar to Oxford. One is Washington and Lee, the other is the College of Idaho. I am here now, physically on this stage, because of the scholarships that were made available to me and the care that was shown to me once I got here. None of this, in a very real sense, would have been possible if I hadn't been able to afford an institution that pushed me to grow personally as much as it did academically. As I passed my 4 years here, I grew to understand the question of who I was as something that was layered and complex. In some circles, I was an athlete, leading the College of Idaho women's soccer team as its captain for 2 years, earning all conference and all American honors, and helping the team to its first ever conference title and berth at nationals. In other circles, thank you. In other circles, though, I was a scholar, working with professors and classmates to better understand the world we live in and my place in it. By my senior year, I had also been a committee chair in the Student Senate, the Student Government Chief of Staff, Vice President of the Pre-Law Club, a peak mentor, and briefly an ambassador. But I was always nervous to have my different spheres touch. And in that mix of separate roles, I wondered often which facet of my life might truly constitute me. The truth, of course, was that my identity needed no fragmentation. I learned much more about myself holistically, about my character and who I am at my core, from the little moments I passed with others at the college, sharing meals, sharing stories, hurrying to catch a door someone was holding open, than I did from analyzing the titles I held at any one time. I realized slowly that I am, just as I'm hoping this speech might be, more than the sum of my parts. This college provided me the opportunity to design an identity that was interactive, an identity that I could build and share with others. Creating a sense of self was important, but contextualizing that self in the midst of a larger community was equally as rewarding and perhaps even more impactful, since the beneficiary of my actions was never only me, but every life I managed to touch as I moved forward. When I left my hometown of Pocatello for Caldwell, others impressed upon me how much I would develop as an individual, how autonomous I would become, how I would learn to take on the world by myself. But the more time I spent at the college, the more convinced I became that that independence is a myth. When I truly cared for others and was cared for by them, I became bound up in their successes and failures, invested in the progression of people whose happiness had become inseparable from my own. For me, there was no autonomous growth once my personal growth was linked to the community. Every success I experienced was shared partially by my friends, teammates, coaches, and professors. Every failure I suffered was made easier by the knowledge that they felt it with me. I hope you understand that when you support the college, it is the people inside it that you are supporting. Not any one of us alone, but the community that we form when we come together. You're helping to sustain, more than anything, an environment that fosters connection, and thus an environment that creates students who are not only remarkable and accomplished, but fulfilled. You fund an education that culminates not only in a diploma, but also in friends, family, and a sense of being better off than you were before you arrived. That truly is the experience that the college gifted to me. Now, as I stand here, a Rhodes Scholar preparing to earn a master's in political theory at Oxford this coming fall, I will not forget that this institution is its people, and its people have made me who I am. Thank you. Oh, thank you.